फर्जंदे ज़हरा ये हालात बुरे हैं।
काशाना-ए-बसीरत एक ऐसा मुकम्मल यूट्यूब चैनल जिस पर महरूम बसारत के लिए बिलखुसूस और तमाम अफराद के लिए बिलमूम सैकड़ों की तादाद में इस्लामी कुतुब दस्तयाब हैं। लिहाजा गुजारिश है कि आप अपनी जिम्मेदारी निभाते हुए काशाना-ए-बसीरत को सब्सक्राइब करने के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन को प्रेस कीजिए ताकि आप इल्म के हुसूल के साथ साथ मजहब अहले बैत की इशाअत में भी अहम किरदार अदा करते रहें। काशाना-ए-बसीरत
फर्जंदे ज़हरा ये हालात बुरे हैं।
Part number 22, page number 224. Their deviation takes them away from the true things so that this religion may continue to dominate them and that may embellish their weakness and stop them from the upright faith. Satan and his army is always busy in trying to destroy the people, and they never despair from taking them Ezra, and neither do they flee from the scene. Their number cannot be calculated by one except Allah. No one can save himself from the deception of Satan except with the help of Allah and by holding firmly his religion. Thus, we pray from Allah for the good sense of obeying him and for gaining an upper hand over our enemies, because no one has any power except Allah. The prince said, "Describe the Almighty Allah in such a way as I am seeing him with my own eyes." The Hakim said, "One whose remembrance is so pure cannot be described through narrations and through intellects. You cannot reach to the depths of his realities, neither can the tongues reach to his true position. The people cannot encompass him through their knowledge except through the knowledge that the Almighty Allah has taught to his prophets. Only they can truly describe his qualities, and our power of imagination and understanding cannot perceive his lordship. He is much higher than this. He is the most beneficent and the most merciful." Thus he endowed whatever he liked from his knowledge, and he made apparent to them whichever of his quality he liked. And he made them recognize his lordship and guided them by creating that which was not present and by turning into nothing those things that existed. The prince said, "What is the absolute evidence for his existence?" The Hakim said, "When you see a created thing and its creator is not there before you, you understand through your intellect that it has a creator. In the same way, the heavens and the earth and whatever is there between them is also having a creator. What proof can be stronger than this?" The prince said, "O Hakim, tell me whether the maladies, pains, and poverty that afflict the people are from the power of Allah or without it." Beloha said, "No, rather they are related to power." The prince said, "Then tell me about the bad deeds of the people." Beloha said, "The Almighty Allah is immune from the bad deeds of those people, but he has kept a great reward for those who obey him, and there is terrible chastisement for those who disobey him." The prince said, "Now tell me about the most equitable person, the greatest oppressor, the most hardworking, the greatest fool, most evil, and the most righteous people." Beloha said, "The most equitable are those who have done justice with their souls. The greatest oppressor are those who consider their injustice as justice, and in whose view the justice practiced by the just is injustice. And the most hardworking is one who has achieved more for the hereafter, and the biggest fool is one whose aim is material world, whose mistakes are deeds, and the most righteous is one who ends his life in goodness, and the most unfortunate is one who ends his work on dissatisfaction of Allah." Then he said, "One who considers his religion at par with his selfish desires, he has destroyed. Thus, he is the one who has angered Allah, and he is an opponent of that which he should have liked. And one who believed that religion is like peace, he is the one who has obeyed Allah, and this will save him from divine anger." Then he said, "If there is goodness in doers of bad deeds, do not consider it bad. If something bad is found in righteous people, do not consider it good." Then the prince said, "Tell me who are worthy of success and who are worth to be called unfortunate." Beloha replied, The ones eligible of success are those who obey the commands of Allah and who refrain from what He has prohibited. And unfortunate are those who disobey the Almighty and leave aside His obedience. They have followed their base desires in contravention of their selfish desires. The prince said, "Who are the ones that are best in obeying the Almighty?" The Hakim said, "Those who follow his command are firm on his religion and keep away from bad deeds." The prince said, "What are good and bad deeds?" The Hakim replied, "Good deeds consists of intention, action, good words, good deed, and truthfulness. Bad deed consists of bad intention, bad action, and bad words." The prince said, "What is the sincerity of intention?" The Hakim replied, "Moderation in intention." The prince asked, "What is foul mouthing?" The Hakim said, "To lie." He asked, "What is bad action?" Below had said, "Disobedience of Almighty Allah." The prince said, "Tell me how one can be moderate in intention." Below her said, by talking frequently about the decline of the world and disassociating from the worldly affairs, and by keeping away from the matters in which lies the destruction of the hereafter. The prince said, "What is charity?" Biloha replied, "Charity is to give up wealth for the sake of Allah." He asked, "What is good deed?" Biloha replied, "Piety is the name of good deed." He asked, "What is miserliness?" Miserliness? Biloha said, "No, not paying the rights to the rightful owners and taking away their rights without any reason." The prince said, "What is greed?" Below her said, "To be always inclined to the material world and to be attentive to those matters that have nothing but corruption and whose recompense is the chastisement of the hereafter." The prince said, "What is truthfulness?" Below her said, "In the path of religion, it is necessary that man should neither deceive himself nor deny his path of religion." The prince said, "What is foolishness?" Below her said, "To be satisfied with the world and to leave those having preeminence and to leave those having permanence." The prince asked, "What is lying?" Below her said, "It is that man falsifies himself and he follows his selfish desires and is stubborn on his stance." The prince asked, "Who are the most perfect of taking advice?" Below her said, "Those who are perfect in intellect and who have more insight about the consequences of matters, those who have complete knowledge about their enemies and who are earnest in escaping from them." The prince asked, "What is consequence and what are those enemies that a sensible man should recognize and keep himself safe from them?" Below her said, "Consequence is the name of the hereafter and annihilation of the world." The prince asked, "Who are enemies?" Below her said, "Greed, anger, jealousy, selfishness, sensuality, show off, and haste are enemies." The prince said, "Who are those that you consider stronger and more important that one should save oneself from them?" Below her said, "Greed, in which there is no satisfaction, and which is worse than anger, and anger in dominance does more injustice and reduces thankfulness, and it is the greatest recompense of those who harbor malice. And greed is that which shows the enmity of intention in more unfavorable light, and suspicion follows it. And restlessness is worse than entreaty, and it is more troubling than disobedience. The fire of malice burns for a long time, and it is the opposite of mercy and is very severe. Show off is worse than deception, and it hides further that which is hidden, and it is against chance and opportunity. And entreaty increases enmity and cuts off making of excuses. Then the prince asked, "What ruses of Satan are more effective in deviating the people?" The Hakim said, "The Satan makes people blind in following the selfish desires in good deeds, sense, reward, and punishment." The prince said, "Tell me about this power through which Allah has empowered the people to gain dominance over these evil matters and the destructive desires." The Hakim said, "It is knowledge that is accompanied by intelligence and deeds, and to restrain oneself from selfish desires, and to be hopeful of getting reward in religion, To mention more about annihilation of the world and proximity of death, to refrain from that which is the opposite of that which will remain after the end of the world. Thus, the estimation of the past matters depends upon their consequences. And to keep them safe in the mind, except for the people of intelligence, no one else stop himself from bad habits and keep it on good manners. The persons of wisdom will reach to a correct stage in their lives. It is this which is called contentment and considered the eminent result for must for himself. And one who undergoes the most hardships and who works hard to gain something, he is not aggrieved at what he has lost, who is pleased with the self, and one who leaves the cure which cannot be complete, one who is patient on that which befalls him, one who chooses the right path instead of the way of misguidance, one who convinces himself that if he does good, he will be rewarded, and if he does bad, he will be punished. Thus, one should be aware of all these things and the rights and the limits of piety and to act on good advice, and who restrains himself from following the selfish desires, one who dominates over the selfish desires, and one who looks at every matter based on his opinion. And one should have the recognition to be firm upon with the recognition to be firm upon it with certainty. Thus, if he face with a trial, he considered it excused without any aversion. The prince said, which morals are the best and worth respect? The Hakim said, to behave with people in a nice way. The prince asked, which worship is better? The Hakim said, it is the worship of dignity and love. He asked, tell which of the worship acts are superior. Bilawar said, to love the good people. The prince inquired, which remembrance is superior? The Hakim said, it is the mention that encourages one to do good and restrained from the evil. The prince asked, which enemy is the most disliked one? The Hakim said, there is no enemy greater than sense. The prince asked, tell me which excellence is the best? Bilawar said, to be content with what one has in life. The prince said, which respect is best? The Hakim said, the respect of religion. He asked, what is that which does the most injustice? He replied, rebellious king and hard heartedness. The prince asked, what are the affairs which are bad from the aspect of consequences? The Hakim said, to seek the pleasure of the people in the displeasure of Almighty Allah. The prince asked, what is that which is most remote? The Hakim said, the eye of that greedy one which is not satisfied with the world. The prince asked, what is that which changes sooner? Bilawar said, the heart of kings who work for the material world. Thus, the prince said, tell me which sins are worse. The Hakim said, to accept the covenant of Allah and then to be unfaithful to it. The prince said, what is that which is going to end soon? The Hakim said, the love of transgressor ends soon. The prince asked, what is the most dishonest thing? Bilawar said, the tongue of a liar is the most dishonest. The prince said, what is that remains more concealed? Bilawar said, the evil of fraudsters. The prince asked, what is that is more resembling to the circumstances of the world? The Hakim said, the false dreams of a person who sleeps. The prince asked, who is the most superior from the aspects of satisfaction? Bilawar said, those who accept good from Allah, who are more pious, who are more not careless of the remembrance of Allah, who remember death and have certainty in the end of the tenure of life. The prince said, which is the disease that is stuck in the world? Bilawar said, one who has bad-mannered son and an irritating wife, and he could not get rid of them. The prince said, which prosperity is the best? Bilawar said, when man is content with what he has and to have regard for the people. Then the prince said to the Hakim, you may rest your mind for a while, as I am going to ask you about the most important things, while the Almighty Allah has bestowed me with the insight about these things regarding which I was ignorant, and He gave me the sustenance of religion about which I was in despair. The Hakim said, ask me about whatever is exposed to you. The prince said, in your view, the child who is given a kingdom in childhood and whose religion is idol worship, and who is gaining benefits from the pleasure of the world, and is being reared and shaped on it, so much so that he becomes an adult and also enters old age. And due to ignorance, he does not have his condition changed by Allah, and who entrusts his soul to the selfish desires due to which he fails to achieve his objective. It is so because desires have become embellishments for him, and they affect him, and he has daring for them, and he finds guidance in them alone, and he remains involved in love and deception of these desires. For his people and persons of opinion, he is cause of pride and love, and his insight has deserted him, so much so that he is also ignorant and careless about the affairs of his hereafter, and he considered it light, and corruption developed in his self. He became evil in intention and narrow minded. His enmity to the religious people and those who were hiding from him assumed severity. Can he hope to leave the fears in which his life will be prolonged? Can his coming out be proper to the mercy that is light and to the proof that is manifest? And the greatest part of religion will be that he should ask for forgiveness of his past sins and hope for good rewards in this religion. Can he achieve this? The Hakim said, "You have understood this. Now, what you want in this matter?" The prince said, "I am not the denier of the excellence that is endowed to you through intelligence and understanding, and neither do they deny the knowledge which is given to you specially." The Hakim said, "It is the king who has these qualities and the person whose generosity has invited you, from whom you have inquired, and one who has arranged this. Allah has promised chastisement, but he dealt with affection as this man wished. Along with this, you intended to fulfill the rights of the Almighty that He made incumbent upon you. And I think that you want to reach to the depths of the excuse in kindness, so that you may remove yourself from a great peril and save yourself from His perennial trouble, because it is not possible to escape the chastisement of Allah except with His help." The prince said, "Do not deprive me from whatever you wish. Tell me about your opinion regarding the fear that a king has about his death, due to which he is in regret and nothing can make up for it. You give me assurance about it and remove my sorrow because I have no other solution to it." The Hakim said, "It is my opinion that we cannot make the creatures despair of the mercy of their Creator, Allah, the Almighty and Sublime, till the soul remains in his body, even though he may be a profligate and rebel, because we have described that Almighty Allah to be kind, affectionate, and merciful, and have proved faith through it and in that which you are commanded to seek forgiveness, and that if Allah wills, there is favor of your choice according to your need." And people think that once upon a time there was a king who was well known for his knowledge. He was a kind protector who was always trying to bring about welfare among his subjects. He lived in this way for a long time, and after that he died. So his people mourned for his death. His wife, the astrologers and soothsayers said that she would give birth to a son who will rule the kingdom with competence. One who lives in his time will witness this. Thus, on the basis of the predictions, it was decided to make him the king. When the child was born, the people celebrated the whole of the first year by music and wine and food. After that, the wise men of the community said that this child is the gift of God, but you have thanked someone else. If he is the gift of someone other than God, you have fulfilled the rights of one who has bestowed him to you. But you have tried to fulfill the thanks of the one who gave you sustenance. So the people told these people that this newborn child is given to us by Allah, and no other than Him has done a favor to us. The scholars said, if only Allah has bestowed you this child, you have pleased someone other than Allah who has not bestowed the child, and you have displeased Allah who has bestowed him to you. The people said to the scholars, "O wise men, please give us good counsel, and O scholars, inform us so that we may follow what you say and accept your advice and act according to your instructions." The scholars said, "In your opinion, music, wine, and vain pastimes are things liked by Satan. So you give up all this and instead of that pay thanks to Allah, the Almighty and Sublime, so that God may forgive you for what you have committed." The people said, "We cannot carry the burden of whatever you have said." The scholar said, "O ignorant people, how you have become obedient to one who has no right upon you, and you are disobeying one whose right is incumbent on you. how you have become strong in an appropriate thing and weakened in that which is proper. The people said, O leader of wise men, our sensualities have increased and we have become much involved in worldly pleasures. So, whatever we found great in resemblance, by they strengthened us and our intentions became weak. Thus, we are unable to lift a heavy burden. So, let us return to those things and do not compel us to lift the heavy burden. The wise men said, You fools, are you not the sons of ignorance and brothers of misguidance when you find the hardship easy and righteousness difficult? So the people said, O leader of wise and chiefs of scholars, we seek refuge with the forgiveness of Allah from his hardship. And we beseech you not to associate us with disgrace. So do not condemn us, and neither should you call our weakness as disgrace, nor blame us for ignorance. Because if we obey Allah with with same forgiveness and weakness of good deeds, and we worship like the one who has judged our desires unlawful, we shall fulfill our need, and Allah will make us our purpose, and He would be merciful upon us like He has created us. Thus, when they said this, their scholars made them confess, and they accepted their statements, and they prayed, fasted, gave charity, and worshipped for a whole year. When they had done that, the soothsayers said, The one who favored the people of the birth of this child, he has informed that he would be a sinful ruler and might also be righteous or rebellious or humble. Sometimes he would commit evil and sometimes perform good deeds. The astrologers also gave the same prediction. So the soothsayers and astrologers were asked how they have concluded this. The soothsayers said, We have said this because first the birth of this child was celebrated with music and unlawful acts, and later they did the opposite of all this. The astrologers said, We have said this because of the balance of the Venus and Jupiter, because this child was born with nobility whose greatness cannot be sufficiently praised, and he was born in such joy that it cannot be described fully. And he was born with such oppression that no one has the strength to bear it. Thus, he will enact repressive and unjust laws, usurp rights, and his most favorite people will be those who support him, and the one he will hate most will be ones that oppose him. He shall remain oblivious due to youth, health, power, and success, and he will remain in the same joy. He will see on that which he likes and hear only that which he desires. Thus, when he was 32 years old, he told his women, children, friends, servants, and riders to put on the best clothes and decorate themselves. He ordered them to recognize a gathering at the place of the rising of the sun and instructed them to make the floor of gold inlaid with jewels. Its length should be 120 yards and breadth 60 yards. Its roofs and walls should be decorated with gold and decorated with precious items, and he ordered all types of costly items to be piled on both the sides of the road. Then he ordered all his armies, associates, scribes, and nobles of the town to be present there. They all arrived decked in their best uniforms and decorations. They stood there depending upon their ranks. The king had thought that it would be pleasing spectacle and he would be glad to see it. Then he walked to the stage and sat down on the royal throne, and all of them prostrated to him. He told his attendant, I have seen a good spectacle of my subjects. Now I want to see my face. So they brought a mirror and he looked at his face. He was looking at his face from all sides when he saw some gray hair in his beard. This terrified him so much that his mood changed completely and all his happiness turned into sorrow. Then he said to himself that this time in his prime youth was informing him about his death, and it is telling me that my kingdom and power is to go away, and that I shall be removed from the throne and disgraced. Then he said, This time is the prelude of death, and the messenger of calamity which cannot be stopped by any bodyguard. It is informing me about death of predicting and decline of my kingdom. How much haste it is making, changing my elegance, in killing my joy, and in reducing my strength, that which could not be stopped by the forts, and from which the army could not save me. This time is going to take away the youth and strength. It will destroy respect and wealth. It will create discord among the people. It will distribute inheritance among the friends and enemies. It will destroy the crop of life, spoil the taste of pleasures, make buildings into ruins, disintegrate the society, make the lofty one base, and humiliate the power. It has laid burdens upon me, and it has taken me in its clutches. Then he descended from his seat in fear and gathered his armies, summoned his reliable men, and said, O leader of the people, since the time I became a king and took over affairs of governance, what have I done for you? They said, O nice king, your trouble is great for us, and our lives are spent in your obedience. So you may tell us about this matter. The king said, A dangerous enemy came in the night. You did not stop him from me while you are my reliable men. They said, Your Majesty, where is that enemy? Is he visible or invisible? The king said, It is seen through its effect and eyes cannot see it. The important people said, Your Majesty, you can see our congregation and we have blessings and tranquility, and there are persons of intellect and understanding among us. You show us that enemy and we shall stop him from you. The king said, I was strongly proud upon you, and I reposed reliance in a wrong place. When I made you as a shield for myself, I gave you wealth and money and increased your status and made you my special associate so that you may defend me against the enemies. After that, I took your help in building cities and in procuring weapons. I solved your problems and kept you free so that you may perform in the best way, so that you should not have any worry that you may affect your functioning. I never feared any danger to befall my mansion because you lived in it and you were obedient. When I walked, you surrounded me. When I came, you were with me. Thus, if this happened as a result of your weakness, I would not have feared to rely on you in my affairs. If it is due to your carelessness, you don't deserve a device and are neither eligible for my affection and kindness. They said, Your Majesty, as long as we live, we shall not let any danger against which our armies can defend to reach you. But we don't know about that which we cannot see, and our power is ineffective against it. The king said, Did you not take oath that will protect me from my enemies? They said, Yes. The king said, Will you defend me from the enemy which can harm me or the enemy that does not cause harm? They replied, We shall defend you from the enemy who cause harm to you. The king said, From all harmful people, from someone, any. They said, From all harmful ones. The king said, The messenger of trials has reached to me who is informing me about my kingdom, that he will destroy all I have built, and that he will disperse all that I have gathered, spoil all that I have improved, spend all that I have saved, change whatever I have done, to weaken whatever I have strengthened, and it lies the satisfaction of the enemy who are pleased in my trouble. And he also wants to gladden my enemies. He has also said that he would soon defeat my armies. He would change my company into isolation, destroy my dignity, and orphan my children. He would also disperse my congregation. My brothers, family members, and relatives will also have to undergo hardship because of me. He will cut me into pieces. He will settle my enemies in my localities. The people said, Your Majesty, we can defend you from people, beasts, poisonous insects, and crawling creatures, but we cannot save you from this trial. So the king asked, Is there any way I can be saved from this? They replied, No. The king said, But you can at least save me from another enemy. They asked, What is that? The king said, They are diseases and sorrow. The people said, Your Majesty, these are having subtle power and they attack the body and soul. They reach you without being identified. They cannot be concealed from you, even though they may be hidden. The king said, There is one more problem. They asked, What is that? He said, What is that has taken precedence on fate? They said, Your Majesty, who is that can dominate fate and not be defeated by it? Who is that has opposed it and was not defeated by it? The king said, What is your solution regarding it? They said, We cannot defend from your fate. We are remote from good sense and reform. So, what do you want? The king said, I want companions who may take a permanent covenant and remain loyal to me, and that their brotherly love for me should endure forever, and that death should not keep them veiled from me. Trials and tribulations must be able to stop them from my company. They should not be able to live without me, and they should not leave me alone even if they were to die for it. If I am alive, they should not entrust me to anyone else. They should protect me from death, which you cannot do. They said, Who are those that you have described? The king said, It is the same who have spoiled your well being. They said, Your Majesty, can you not do a favor on them and on us? Because Your morals are perfect and you are very kind. The king said, now your neighborhood is fatal poison for me. There is deafness and blindness in your obedience and dumbness in your approval. They said, Your Majesty, how is it possible? The king said, Your neighborhood is because of affluence and wealth. Your approval is because of gathering, and your obedience is due to anticipation of carelessness. You restrained me from desertion and showed me the world in favorable light. If you had given me good counsel and had told me about death and reminded me about it, had behaved in sincere manner, you would have mentioned this trial and had collected for me that which will endure, and had not made efforts to gather wealth for me that is going to perish. Thus, the benefit that you have mentioned is in fact harm, and this love is enmity. I have returned them to you. I have no need of any of them. The people said, O wise and well mannered king, we have understood what you want to say and accepted it in earnest. We cannot present any argument against you as the proof is exhausted for us. Thus, if we remain silent from our conviction, it will result in destruction of the country, in the death of our world, and in rejoicing of our enemy.